Hello, everyone. This is now the continuation of our second receptive lesson, which is on testing receptive skills, productive skills, and testing literature. So last time I posted a separate video on how do we construct tests and how do we make sure that the tests that we are constructing are actually meeting the standard or the criteria of a good test. Now, this presentation will be talking about more on how do we test different skills. Previously, we have had discussed several topics or um, areas. We have refreshed several areas on the concept of assessment, wherein we discuss what is the difference of testing, what is the difference of measurement, and how do we evaluate. Now, in the perspective of teaching literature, in the aspect of teaching literature, reading, viewing, writing, listening, all of these skills in the perspective of language boils down with the concept of teaching and assessment of literature studies. Now, moving forward, we begin with testing receptive skills. So in testing receptive skills, when we say receptive skills is the perception, okay? It's a skill that we teach in our students to receive information, to grasp information. Let's say, for example, in our English class, we listening is one of the skill that we teach in our students. Now, one of the ways to test listening comprehension or the listening skill of our student is number one, we have there the sound discrimination. In sound discrimination is we allow our learners to differentiate what is the difference of this sound to this particular sound as well. Yeah. Now, for example, if you wanted to check, we have first example here, example number one. You have to write yes if the two words here in each pair have the same vowel, and you have to write no if they have different sounds. Okay, so there's no really speaking, there is no really listening skill, or there's no actual speaking, but they will just be, they will just be, they will just be identifying whether it's a yes or a no. For example, the meet and the met, the answer will be then, technically, it will be like no, right? And then in each pair, like for example, number two here, we have still and steal. So they have to answer whether it is res, if two words here in each pair have the same sound or no. All right, so they have to identify whether it's a yes or it is a no. Another example is that they have to write the letter of the word that has a different vowel sound in each group. If all words sound the same, they just have to write S. For example, bean, bean, and bean. So that's S. But for number two, that's cop, cop, and cap. That's not S because that differ in terms of how you pronounce them. But there is no really exact way of testing them. They do not really have to pronounce it. They are just aware that they are what? That they are having a different way of pronouncing words. So this is how we test listening. Because it's like we cannot put and incorporate listening skill in 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 a test paper. How do we put it in a test paper? This is the concept. So we put the listening skill in a test paper by putting sound discrimination. All right, by putting sound discrimination. And number three, for example, we have ill, ill, and ill. They are pronounced the same, but but they're spelled differently. But again, our concern is the sound discrimination, because again, the point is we cannot put listening skill or listening test on a test paper if we are going to pronounce the words, but we are just creating a test out of it. All right. So another example also is on your paper, copy the following pairs of sentences. His cot is small, his cat is small. She bought a fan, she bought a pan. And then the same sentences may be accompanied by pictures illustrating them, from which the students will pick the right choice. That goes along with the testing of listening, going back with the sound discrimination. We also have this what we call listening comprehension. So tests on listening comprehension, second example, because this is number the first example, the second is listening comprehension. For example, do the following actions: erase the board and place the eraser on the table. So here, this is not on the questionnaire, but the child has to do what is being said on him or her, right? So he has to perform it, he has to do it, he has to take action, he has to do something. Number two, face the student behind you and shake his or her hand. Number three, open the door and the window nearest to it. Stand in front and place both hands on the table. Take your bag and hold it with your left hand. So these are actually just listening comprehension. They are actions that they have to perform, but you have to consider if they can perform the actions that is being said after they have listened to you. So we also have another example. They have to listen to the conversation between Joanna and Kyle in school. They have encircled the letter of the answer that best completes the sentence based on the conversation. So, for example, we have a conversation from Joanna. Hi, Kyle. Have you written your essay in English 101? Then Kyle said, not yet. I had to attend the choir's rehearsals last week. And then Joanna said, yes, I heard you are competing in Malaysia next month. Then Kyle said, right, but I have been missing some of my classes because of it. And then Joanna said, you could probably ask our teachers for some makeup assignments. And then Kyle said, I'm planning to this week, I'm going to the library now and write my essay. And then Joanna said, good luck, see you in class. And the first question, Joanna and Kyle are classmates in what subject? All right, in several subject, in all subject, or only in English 101. So they will not be able to answer that if they have not listened to the conversation, if they have not listened, and if they do not possess a very good listening comprehension skill. The same, you give another set of questions, another set of questions, another set of questions. But we have to remember that they have to listen. You will not give the transcript. You will not give their actual transcript, but you will just give the questions. In testing reading, it's another receptive skill. In testing reading, of course, you have a set of paragraph, this one, all throughout this one, all right, and you have a set of question. So for the first activities, you have to do skimming to identify the gist. Direction, encircle the letter that corresponds to the correct answer. The whole passage states that accounts about aliens on Earth are, all right, let's go going along with skimming, all right? Then they have to answer which one it is. And then for second, they have to do scanning to locate specific information. When and where did Roswell incident happen? So they have to exactly look somewhere in the paragraph or in the passage where exactly when and where did Roswell incident happen. Same with the remaining set of questions that we have here below. All right. So that is for scanning to locate specific information. Another technique is making inferences in reading. They have to encircle the letter corresponding to the correct answer for each sentence. Example, it is difficult to establish the truth of the stories about aliens because there are no eyewitnesses, there are no physical evidences to prove them, and they are just product of man's imagination. So they are going to make inferences. Most often, in the level of inferential, we are testing the understanding. We are we are putting into the context of of our learners whether can they really understand or where their stand is on the given topic or on the given question. Most probably you cannot find this on the paragraph or in the passage. Just simply the thought of it will be able to show to us or share to us what is it for them based on their own inferences, based on their own understanding. Right? So letter D, we also have guessing meanings of unfamiliar words through context. So here, just like a vocabulary build up, we have there the extraterrestrial, and then you have there the word UFO, and then you have there people have been reported to report, and then you have creatures. So extraterrestrial, you can make them like out of this world, supernatural, something like that. So unfamiliar words are being decoded through context. Paano siya ginagamit in the question. So still the same. context. Now we move forward to how do we test productive skills? Producing, right? Speaking, what else? Testing grammar, all right, among others. So we begin with testing speaking. In testing speaking, we have to make sure that we are testing pronunciation. And in pronunciation, there are no fixed criteria for judging whether good or bad, how good or how bad the pronunciation is. For example, we have to recognize familiar sounds or stress. Direction. From a list of words in each group, read the word that has the same vowel sound as the guide words. So we have beat, steak, great, leave, break. Food, mood, blood, foot, stood. Map, mall, play, said, fast. Saw, small, flow, wow, bow, let, sit, and lead, and grid. We have the same type, but maybe repeated for constant consonant sounds and word stress. So that can be done for speaking, testing speaking. In testing grammar, we have a lot of tests, right? Can have convert the sentence, answer the question, substitute the word, supply appropriate word. We can also have speed, speaker's fluency in terms of ease and speed. We can also have testing comprehension, testing writing, testing the content. Ayan. Under testing writing, we have writing general statement to express the main idea. Testing the form. Form refers to the organization of the content. Ang unod, logical order, clustering of sentences, how are they arranged, connecting an idea to another, appropriate connector. By blank is blank. If you visit blank after dark, blank notice. All right, so you are adding an appropriate connector to fill in and complete the thought or the paragraph. You can also have writing the topic sentence, testing grammar by testing grammatical forms, testing syntactic patterns. Just have to read the direction and identify how they are done. Testing style, testing variety of structures, testing lexical items, testing mechanics, and testing punctuation. In testing punctuation, you have their blanks that you have to put the appropriate punctuation marks. So those are the things that we use in testing productive skills. Now we move forward to testing literature. In testing literature, most of the time we can only have them two formats. We can have them objective and we can have them essay type. In objective and essay type, they vary only on, are we testing the literal comprehension? Kapag literal comprehension, we're only asking for the characters in the story. You can say, who are the characters who said this kind of story in the literature? Or who mentioned this kind of languages in the story or in the literature? We also have the testing of reorganization. Reorganization skills entails you have to classify, outline, summarize, and synthesize ideas. Let's say, for example, an objective type of test, they're going to classify. Let's say they have to select the item that does not belong to the group that is part of testing reorganization. In essay, you can make them outlining therein. They are going to construct a topic outline of the essay, provide at least three main heads and a number of subheads. So that's essay type, reorganization. In testing inference, the same, their own understanding. They have to use the information explicitly in the said text to relate to their personal experience and knowledge. And the last that we have is our testing of evaluation. And in our testing of evaluation, what usually happens is we compare the information and ideas in the text with material presented by the teacher and of or other authorities with the student's knowledge. For example, the students has to judge whether can this part of story a reality? How about this part of story? It may be also a fantasy. We can also have the testing of appreciation. If we are going to test the appreciation, you have to ask yourself as a teacher, where can you use and where do you see yourself as a student in the literature? That's for you to test appreciation. Where are you in the literature? How are you emotionally attached to the literature? For example, in the literature, you have a grandfather or a grandmother mentioned in the story. Now, you yourself also has a grandmother or a grandfather. So that's how you test appreciation. Can you relate to the story? How can you relate in the story? In what way can you relate in the story? So you always link your students on their personal understanding, attaching their emotional perspective to the literature. So in evaluating literature tests, all of these things are the concepts that we have to remember. And most often, we have to make sure that we, at some point, recall and remember them so that we can make sure that we are giving an appropriate test for our students.